Okay, we'll call this ethics board to order. The first matter is review of the June minutes.
I'm doing right now.
I looked at them, they look good.
Yeah, they look good to me.
Yeah,
We did, it says that we discussed revisions to the code. We had consensus on them in general and then tried to implement them in the interval. So it looks good to me. I move that we approve them.
I second.
On favor?
Is there any update on our addition of another member?
Yeah, that's one of the things I was,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to jump into queue.
in fact, that's the only thing I had on my separate agenda.
Okay.
Everyone has this app because we
In the
printed
body.
it out. The update is, as far as I know, no one's applied for it, which is unbelievable because it's such a fun committee to be on.
I know, it's such fun
It's not
people.
that hard.
Just think of all like the field trips we have and the nights we go out drinking.
Right.
It's just really. Yeah.
Well, you know, that was somebody who was interested.
Yeah, well-
He backed down, or at least he backed down for now, because he thought that he wouldn't get accepted, which I said, I don't understand. You know, like, he was afraid there was gonna be some political aspect to it.
Here?
Yeah. And I tried to explain to him, maybe I'll talk to him again,
Yeah.
because he was supremely quiet.
And I
Somebody
have
bought,
somebody who approached me who wants to do it also.
Yeah,
yeah,
Which
you do?
is great, yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a copy of this.
Well, this one has,
so we'll see. You know, I'll ask him again.
yeah, I'd like that. I'm not sure if there's like a set time that people could apply for, but so far, I think, isn't that correct, Gordon? Do you know? So far, nobody's applied for this vacancy.
So, as I said earlier, okay, I had two people who said they were gonna apply and they still haven't applied.
Yeah.
One of them was very excited, he went, I told him to go to, to go to your website, watch some of the things and see some of the things that you have already
Yeah.
talked about, okay, and, I don't know, I'll make another call, I don't know why, I guess people, I won't surmise why.
Yeah, okay,
Either make a phone call and maybe talk to somebody on the board so they know
yeah.
Oh, sure.
what it's about.
And I'd be, happy to talk to anybody.
Yeah, they can talk to any of us.
It's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
it's not that burdensome.
No.
Bob knew somebody that's basically an in-house ethics guy for a law firm, that would be great.
I do.
And if we know anybody
That
else,
would be
Yeah.
perfect.
I mean, he's perfect. He deals with conflicts of interest in his
And
life.
the person I know lives here full-time, but Mike
Is he a resident?
lives here full-time and
Yes.
is very involved in the community.
lives here full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would be a
Yeah.
bonus.
I'll talk to him again.
Because none of us are.
Bright fellow, you know. But we'll see.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to get someone who lives here as well.
Well, it's one of the requirements, right?
Because it's forums and it's nice to have local people.
Yeah.
Well, this person lives here full-time.
Yeah,
It's their
Well,
primary residence.
that'd be
so-
great. What can we do, and do you have any ideas on this, Meg? How to get a
For
shift member?
advertising, I think summer's hard to recruit people because they're so busy and so much going on.
Yeah,
I think we don't get anyone by the end of August, some people might start tuning in again in September.
I think you're right.
Also, because we end up,
Is
it's
there-
busy in the summer, there's so much going on.
yeah. Is there a time certain on it? So if we had somehow multiple applicants, they would all know, by September 1st, you should apply?
Yeah, but we can put a date on it, where, we can see, if we start to get applicants, then we can put a date on it maybe.
Yeah. I think it'd be good to have a date because then people respond to deadlines as well as, it's not like first come, first serve.
True, lets them know that they have a deadline.
But it should be after Labor Day.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, maybe September 15th or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
so this has been posted in numerous places, I guess, and was there a notice in the paper too?
Yes.
It's on
An ad in the-
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. So it's not like it's really, hindered us at this point, but be nice.
Could get a picture of all of us going.
Right.
That'll help.
So I think it'd be nice to have a kind of deadline on it. Who decides that? Or,
It's gonna be just modified, I'll let Coco know.
yeah,
Yeah,
something like September 15 or September
Why not?
10.
Let's try the 15th. It's hard to put a deadline on something when you have 0 people so far.
But at least it's not, people are, oh, I'll just wait until next year. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's the 15th, I'm comfortable with the 15th.
Sure.
yeah, okay. And then in the meanwhile, if we know any good people, let's talk to them. It's not that hard. We only have been meeting every couple of months.
Now that the code's, written, that was our heavy lift at the beginning, and
Yeah,
that lift
exactly.
is done, so, yeah.
Any ideas on that, Stephen?
On a deadline for,
Yeah,
for,
for a fifth
adding a
member or recruiting a fifth member in general?
well, you can express your wish to the town board, but of course, elected officials have a tendency to think they're very important and that they are entitled to set their own priorities. And
2 of them are in the room, Stephen.
I know, and they understand my sense of humor.
Okay.
But, see, you can recommend, of course, but then the board has to consider what its opportunities are, what its priorities are, who's available, how they want to proceed, and they will make that decision.
Sure. Okay, sounds good. The other thing I wanted to raise, that I don't think that we have to have an executive session on this, but we did a reconsideration recently, and that's worked out well.
Hey, what do we do?
We reconsidered one of our opinions.
Oh, right, and that's worked out well. Okay,
That's
good.
worked out well, where no parties complained about the outcome.
Okay,
So that's good. And in our rules, upcoming regulations, we should maybe have notice in there if people want to ask for reconsideration,
Yeah.
they can do so, just to get the terminology.
Interesting idea. Good idea.
Any public comments at this time, and we'll ask for more at the end of the meeting too.
If you expressly state that people can request a reconsideration, you're going to get a request for reconsideration every time anybody's unhappy with the decision that you make.
Right.
So I'm not sure whether you want to light that fuse.
Okay, well, that's a good point. So far, everyone's accepted our consensus.
Yeah, we only had one.
Almost,
that was semi-discretionary on our part to
Yeah.
reconsider it, right?
yeah, without talking too much about specifics, the person wanted an appeal, and we gave them a reconsideration. It's kind of the same.
But it's the first time it happened.
Yeah, it is. Other people have not been thrilled, but.
Well, but there was, additional information arguably that we didn't consider that would
Right.
prompt that, yeah.
But yeah, Stephen's point, I think, goes to that we don't want to have things that trip us up in our regulations or cause unnecessary problems.
Right.
So, ethics code update, as you all know, I did after our last meeting, we've agreed on certain changes that we want to propose to the town board. And my email of a week or two ago highlights the major ones in my view. And then all of them are laid out in a red line version. Do you have that red line?
It's probably it's on the website in discussion documents.
Yeah,
No problem.
it has very specific words, right, that initially Laura drafted, and then I put in red ink so that everyone can follow along.
I think the 2 of you did just a fantastic job. I don't know if you saw my
Thank you.
note.
No,
I
thank
think it reads really, really clearly and well and logically and, all those good words.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sure there's going to be more problems, but
Yeah, no,
at least we've covered a few.
It will be. I have just one thing that I had mentioned before that I still would like to add somewhere. And I'm thinking maybe in definitions, but maybe not. I don't know. I shouldn't say where because I don't know where. And that is that it still feels to me like in your definitions, we're still coming down to the financial benefit thing, like, we have financial benefit and you say anything of material value, that was the change. And then interest in a private organization, and it talks about a person being an owner, a partner, a director, an officer, an employee. And I was thinking that on Shelter Island, we've come up with this before. In fact, we've had cases that came to us where people were none of these things with an organization, but they were they were volunteers, but had a very close emotional connection to an organization and wanted to know whether they should be allowed to make a decision involving this organization, that they had a close, completely non-financial.
But they're not a member. I mean, it says member, right?
Well, some of these organizations don't even really have members, I don't
I know what you're
know.
saying, yeah.
Yeah, and so we had talked about it, really talking about non-financial conflicts of interest as well. Emotional conflicts of interest. I don't know what you want to label.
Biases, you're talking about bias,
Well,
right?
maybe, but I think of bias as a negative, and I mean this in a positive
Yeah.
way. And
loyalty.
split loyalties, that's a good way to say it as well. And so that would be just the one thing I'd love to see added somewhere. And yeah, go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying, but in the past, I think what we had done in almost some situation that you're talking about, is we said that, we suggested that a person recuse himself, we didn't demand. So I'm wondering if that would fulfill what you're,
Well, I'd rather it
saying.
not be a suggestion,
in other
you
words,
know, if we've got, because I feel like it's just as much a conflict of interest as if they're gonna make money off of it, if their heart belongs to this organization
Yeah.
in other words, it's not a financial thing, it's just a,
thing.
yeah, I understand what you're talking about, yeah.
And Stephen's written about this subject of common law.
Yes, I have. I mean, we've had this discussion before. I disagree with the board about its limitation of conflicts of interest to financial conflicts of interest. However, a sympathetic relationship to a not-for-profit organization, in my view, would not give rise to a mandatory recusal. There is a difference, of course, between when a person should consider recusing themselves on the one hand and when they must recuse themselves on the other. Certainly, any demonstration of bias would make a decision ripe for invalidation by a court. But basically, the kinds of affinity that was described a moment ago would subject the matter to the judgment and the conscience of the individual officer and employee. It would not give rise, in my view, to a legal requirement that they recuse themselves, and should not.
So,
I mean,
That's
there's
of
a
course what
whole,
you just said.
so it could be what I'm saying, Stephen, that we could recommend
Yes,
that they consider, I think the wording was they should consider recusal.
yes, but that would be on a case-by-case basis. If someone presented a scenario to you and gave you the opportunity to make a recommendation. Many of these events occur without the person even thinking that perhaps they should seek the advice of the Board of Ethics. That, by the way, is why I think ethics training is very important, because people encounter conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest day in and day out without realizing that they're doing so.
right. In fact, the building department's asked me what they can read on conflicts of interest,
Right.
you know. But this raises knotty issues of notice to people, of what common law conflicts are, of this kind of thing, like an organization is one thing. What about if it's your best friend
That's exactly. I
or
would
your
include-
neighbor?
Yeah, I would
That
include all
doesn't-
of that.
Yeah,
It's the same kind of
our
thing.
code of
Well,
ethics.
Your neighbor who you
Well-
either like or dislike.
A social relationship is not a basis for a mandatory recusal. It may make the official uncomfortable. They may wish to recuse themselves rather than have to make a decision regarding someone with whom they have a social relationship. That certainly would be the type of situation in which recusal would be advisable. But there's a third department case that I discussed in that article about common law conflicts, where one member, the member's mother taught piano lessons to the daughter of the applicant. Another member served on the same political committee. You know, that it was, the case was chock full of various types of relationships. And what the court said was that, you know, essentially, we live in small communities, we have complicated relationships. If these sorts of relationships were disqualifying, you could never populate a municipal board. So yeah, a social relationship, no. Proximity to a location, if you're the next door neighbor, in my opinion, proximity alone is not, does not mandate recusal. There has to be something about the proximity that gives you an interest in the application. So if your next door neighbor wants to build a tower that's going to block your view, your ocean, your water view, then you have an interest in that application. But if your neighbor wants to put an extension on the house on the opposite side from where you're located, you won't see it. It won't interfere with your use and enjoyment of your own property in any way. I would say that that is not an application that you have an interest in. So when it comes to proximity, I say you need proximity plus.
Yeah, yeah. And Stephen, what do you think of what we try to define in the common law in general, that we've put in a couple annual letters to the town board, which says recusal is mandatory for potential financial conflicts of interest under state law and the town code of ethics. Recusal is optional for town officials in instances where, for any reason, they may feel they have a bias or personal connection that would potentially make it harder for them to put the public interest above any private interest.
Maybe instead of optional, we should say advised.
Right, I was going to say,
Yeah.
I was going to say advisable.
Yeah.
But those kinds of broad pronouncements are always difficult because the devil is in the details.
Yeah.
It's always in the details when it comes to an ethics matter. And what the message should be, if you're uncomfortable, if you're uncertain, if you have any doubt, seek an advisory opinion.
Yeah, the other sentence on this says recusal from discussion voting should be considered in occasions where a reasonable person would foresee an appearance of impropriety. I mean, this was an attempt to put some common law boundaries
Yeah.
around things. Are we supposed to give people notice or warning of these
I
common
would
law?
think that could be in the guide, what's
Yeah.
plain
Should it be in the
guide.
code anywhere to give no?
I
Because
don't know. It belongs to the code.
we
It's vague.
evaluate things, first we evaluate them with our local ethics code, then the state law, and then the common law we can look at. We use all three of those. We've discussed that before. So that's a more complicated area. We've
Right,
talked
and-
about this.
Right, and really what I think the town should implement is ethics training.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to communicate to people, and writing something of the sort that you did is not really going to deliver the message in a meaningful way.
Yeah, it was trying to deliver a general message to the town board, but how would we get across common law standards even in ethics training? That would be understandable to the 300 people that we
Well, you use hypotheticals, you cover various topics, various frequently arising conflicts of interest, much in the same way as that article that you have,
Yeah.
that I wrote does.
It's called How to Analyze an Ethics Problem, Recognizing Common Law Conflict of Interest.
Yeah.
And it was in the Bar publication in 2011.
Actually, it was updated in 2022.
Okay, I should get the updated version.
I'd be happy to send it to you.
Great.
Stephen, can you give an example of how a town of our size would do ethics training? In one large group, several small groups? How have you done it in the past?
Well, I've done it in a variety of ways. Your workforce is small enough so that if you wanted to, there could be in-person training. It could also be done virtually. I think in-person training is more valuable because you can actually have interaction and reach people in a more meaningful way. Virtual training, people tend to snooze through it. But what I've done in other municipalities is the officers and employees who have a regular work day with the town, you train during work hours, and the members of boards and commissions who have lives in the private sector and just come to town hall to attend their board meetings, it's most convenient for them to train them in the evening.
The latter category is going to be the ones who are going to be most likely to be confronted with a conflict, right?
You're 100% right, 100%. Land use regulation in particular is an area that is ripe for conflicts of interest.
For
Yeah.
sure.
We agree.
So we certainly want to do that. Obviously, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that hit what you wanted?
Yeah, it's not the answer I wanted, but it's certainly, it's.
What you had started with was the financial benefits, not
Helping us
everything.
all, yeah,
It's also bias or split loyalties.
yeah.
That's not in here, right?
It's not in the code. The problem, I feel like the problem of putting it into the code is it's too vague to be enforceable. But I can imagine putting something in the plain English guide saying that even in situations where there is no specific financial benefit, if you're in a position where the reasonable person would think that you had, there was a bias or impropriety, you should consider recusing yourself. You can ask the board for an advisory opinion, and in evaluating those situations, the boards will take into account common law principles regarding conflict.
Is everything, you started your sentence by saying that everything in here is gonna be like a law or a rule or whatever. I'm sorry, I missed.
Yeah, it's a law.
Paraphrasing you poorly. And the thing that we're talking about is not gonna be a law, it's gonna be advisable. It would be advisable that you.
Well, no,
Opposed to.
no. There are three types of legal authorities that Duff referred to. The first is a state law, Article 18 of the New York General Municipal Law. The second is a town law, that's your code of ethics, which is incorporated in the town code. That's a local law. And the third is these common law principles. Common law principles come from judicial decisions and have the effect of law. They're binding. to varying degrees, depending upon which court issued it, when, what the facts of a particular case are. But they are also legal authority. I would recommend two things. First, I would avoid using the phrase common law, because you know what we're talking about, and I know what we're talking about. Most people will not know what we mean by common law. Secondly, I have a real problem with the phrase appearance of impropriety. I personally think that that is an unconstitutionally vague standard, because what may appear to you to be improper may not appear to me to be improper. I prefer speaking in terms of conduct that would be likely to seriously and substantially undermine public confidence in town government. A phrase of that type, to make clear what we're trying to avoid, which is, or to put it in the positive, we're trying to inspire public confidence in town government. We're really not primarily looking to root out corruption and criminality and all that kind of bad stuff. That's done by by law enforcement agencies. What we're trying to do really is to inspire public confidence by avoiding unintended ethics violations before they occur, and at the same time guide and protect honest town officers and employees and help them to stay out of trouble. So that's why I talk about conduct that would have the effect of, that would be likely to undermine public confidence in town government.
Why shouldn't people be given a heads up on that general standard in this town ethics code?
That's what that would be good.
Well,
Or should they?
Well,
That's what I was starting to ask.
Yeah.
I think that's better in, the code needs to be specific and declare what conduct is regulated and what conduct is not. This other principle is better in every single advisory opinion that I write, every single one goes through the 3 steps. Article 18, the local code, common law principles, and every single opinion I write speaks about fostering public confidence in government. And each advisory opinion that you write, and I know that you approach it this way, is a teaching opportunity. And so I always go through the whole 3-step process. Set forth the fact, the issue presented, the conclusion, the relevant authority, the facts presented, and the analysis. And the analysis is broken down into those 3 separate steps. Those 3.
Yeah. We do that in effect too. I mean, we've had several opinions that have relied on the common law, right? We know some
In
of
the
them.
end, but you always cite the code
But
section.
there's no advance notice in this code that we can go there.
Right, well, there also should be educational materials posted on the Board of Ethics should have a page on the town's website, a dedicated link on the town's website where you have posted the Code of Ethics, advisory opinions, and we can talk in a moment about what advisory opinions should be posted and in what form. You can have articles, you can have frequently asked questions, all of which I've prepared for other municipalities. You can have procedures. You should have a set of due process procedures in place in the event that you have to conduct a hearing, a disciplinary hearing, so that you're not making those rules up when you already have a matter that you're presented with. That's bad optics. And other useful materials can be posted. Most people won't read it. And so I still, and most people don't read the Code of Ethics. However many times you tell them that they should, and however much you would like them to be on notice of what's contained in the Code of Ethics, human nature being what it is, you have to get the message out. And that's done through training and through rendering advice.
Right.
And the more training you do, by the way, the more requests for advice that you're going to get, because you'll be sensitizing people to the existence of the issues.
Right.
You're completely, I agree with you completely. I'm on a completely other kind of ethics, and the only way we ever get consults is by going out and telling people about this thing called ethics, and then they come pouring in. So yes.
And, you know, in my experience, over many municipalities, people don't understand what ethics is. They think that whatever seems to them to be wrong must be unethical. So I'll give you what really I think is the most extreme example. In the town of Southampton Board of Ethics, a number of years ago, received a complaint from a resident who said, I went to the town dump to dispose of an item, and the town employee who works there was rude to me. Now, rudeness is bad, but it's not an ethics violation. People complain that code enforcement has not done anything about my neighbor who has illegal tenants. Or I was stopped by a police officer, but I was traveling at the same speed as the other cars. You know, I could go on, and I won't. Yeah. But the point is, people don't understand what an ethics question really is. And so very often I find myself writing a letter on behalf of the board that says, here is what laws we interpret. Here is a summary of what those laws relate to. And thank you for your inquiry. Thank you for your complaint, but it does not allege facts which, if established, would make out a violation of Article 18, the local code of ethics, or common law principles. And even that alone is a teaching opportunity to let people know what the board exists in order to do.
Yeah, we hear about that stuff all the time, too.
We had one that we wrote back to.
Very recently.
Yeah, we recently had one of those.
I was at a meeting of the Board of Ethics of the Village of Port Jefferson just the other night, and a request came in for a waiver of a post-employment restriction, which the board is authorized to issue or to grant. And two of the board members were saying, I'm just not comfortable with this. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just don't like it. Well, I tried to diplomatically explain that the board members have an obligation to be rational and to decide matters rationally. And I just don't feel right about this is not a rational basis for a decision. You have to find authority in the laws that you're charged with interpreting, and that should guide your decision. So I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, but absolutely. And we've had to come back on these common law cases several times. And in fact, had opinions that rely only on them. My only issue, and it has been for a long time, is why don't we give any notice, warning, or heads up to people that there are court standards as well that may be applied, or even some kind of statement, like you said, Stephen, about things that would, seriously and substantially undermine confidence in government. Why don't we have any standard
about-
like that?
Can I interrupt? What about 8 dash, administration, 8-18 D 1?
Right,
It
that's,
says that, the Board of Ethics will investigate and issue an opinion if it determines that there's a reason to believe that a code violation may have occurred. We could also say a code violation or the activity is in violation of court-issued law. And then we could put that in there, but then in the common law, I'm sorry,
Plain English.
plain English, thank you. Plain English guide, we could say the board considers not just the state law and the code, but also court-issued law.
right. And I think that's a good idea. And I would also recommend that you post my article on common law principles on the Board of Ethics page of the town's website.
Absolutely, great. Where was that, Laura?
It was on 18,
You said after
8-18 D, which is at the bottom of the next page, and then it goes to the top of the next page.
all of D, I mean, you put everything to D somewhere.
It's just describing what we're going to do if we define that there's a violation.
So without being held to what you say, where would you insert something?
In that paragraph somewhere.
Paragraph 2?
That's the most I'm willing to be held to.
In paragraph 2?
Yeah. No, yeah, in paragraph 2, sorry.
D2.
D2.
This is
You
the
know,
one
I'd
that-
also point out that D1 already includes the advisory function that you thought might need to be added in
No, that's,
8-18B.
yeah, that's in there.
Right, but the email, Duff's email, July 30th, speaks about creating a new category called inquiries. Well, it's really already there. It's a request for an advisory opinion.
D1's
It was just
Well, you asked me.
a matter of semantics. He was wondering if whether an advisory opinion, if there could be either a separate category or they'd be better referred to as inquiries. I don't know.
Well, no, the difference is D1 is an employee requesting
Advisory.
confidential advisory opinion on
Oh,
him or herself.
right.
D2 is an outside person. It
Right.
could be a supervisor, could be an anonymous
Yeah.
person,
And you
either,
guys added inquiries, so that's great.
yeah, asking.
Well, Duff, in my opinion, the distinction is between requests for advice on the one hand and complaints on the other. And requests for advice, in my opinion, advice should be rendered either to an officer or employee inquiring about themselves or someone they supervise. Because a supervisor has to implement the code of ethics in a variety of ways and may need to know whether they can assign a particular employee to a particular task or whether something they've observed is something they may have to take some action about.
We
So I
added
think-
some language in 8-19 in response to Duff's concern. It's at 8-19A, it says upon receipt of a written inquiry or complaint.
Also, Stephen, what about a third scenario where it's not not a boss of somebody, it's just two peers, and one of the peers wonders if the other peer is doing something they shouldn't be
The
doing?
idea is it's a less formal.
The more
it's less
inquiries,
formal
the better.
than a complaint.
I love the word inquiry.
No, but there's first of all, ethics advice should be used as a shield, not a sword. You want people to come to you for advice because they want to be sure that they are complying with the code or someone they supervise is doing so. So that is why you don't, for example, take requests, or you shouldn't, in my opinion, take requests for, or inquiries from the public. If a member of the public has reason to believe that an ethics violation has occurred, they should file a complaint, and you'll entertain that complaint. I happen to believe that even anonymous complaints should be entertained by the Board of Ethics, although some disagree with that.
Well, we changed ours to make it anonymous.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that's the distinction in my opinion. Requests for advice should come from individuals inquiring about themselves or somebody they supervise, and complaints should come from anyone at all.
Well, okay.
I might agree with that, because I think, oh, I can file an inquiry, but I'm not really sure, or I'm not really pushing the issue. If you're going to file a complaint against somebody, you really
It's
have
got
to
to be
be
a complaint.
a complaint. You should be committed to it.
We're upping the ante, and I'm not sure I want the ante up. I'd like people to be able to come in and just ask. You know, my coworker, my peer is doing blah, 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 and I'm
It's an
not.
inquiry. I don't want to
Yeah,
file a complaint.
Exactly. I like that you don't
In some
have to
cases.
raise the bar. or-
It's
I
a
mean,
hostile
immediate-
sounding word, complaint,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think you want
How do we
one.
respond to those?
I don't think you want one employee obtaining ethics advice about another. I think that's going to create a bad environment where bad things can happen, intrigue can occur.
Intrigued.
I think it's just, in my view, a bad practice.
So what does this employee do if they really do want to know, just, following my scenario out, they must file a complaint or they must keep their mouth shut?
They come to us with a hypothetical?
No, that would be also a mistake, because the devil is in the details. You need facts. You want to render opinions based upon facts that you're presented with. Otherwise, you're going to be writing blank checks to people. So, if somebody has a reason to believe that a coworker has violated the code of ethics, let them file a complaint, whether it be whether they let their identity be known or whether it be anonymous. But they should not ask, is my coworker violating the code? Be told by you that they are, and then have that in their back pocket to cause whatever mischief they might want to cause. It's just, you also don't want to create an environment in which people feel that they have any kind of obligation to report on their coworkers. I'll stop because I would just be repeating
Saying
myself.
you could inquire. But if they have it in their back pocket and we say to them, yeah, you're right, this person really shouldn't be doing this. That's the only thing they could have in their back pocket that would be of any use to them. Then,
Right, and
don't
what
you
do you,
think that should be, that should come forward then, no?
but if
How
they
would it
come
come
to you,
forward? We would have to bring it forward,
Trying
right?
to encourage more interaction with us.
if they came to you with an inquiry and you decided that that an ethics violation had occurred or was occurring, you're going to conduct an investigation and it will be converted into
A complaint or
a
whatever.
complaint anyway, whether you describe it as a complaint coming from the complainant or as a sua sponte complaint.
And flipping around, if it's the other way around, they come to us with an inquiry and we say, go home, this is nonsense, then they've got nothing in their back pocket because we sent them away empty.
Look, I'm just gonna my opinion is that requests for advice should be about oneself or someone that you supervise. And the other category, the category that leads to investigations by the board, are complaints. And if someone files a complaint and you feel there's nothing there, on its face, it's completely frivolous, you're going to dismiss it and take no action. And no harm is done. So this word complaint, you know, that some concern was expressed about is not, you know, you're not tossing a hand grenade. You're entertaining a statement by someone that they think a violation of the code of ethics is occurring.
Yes,
It was a complaint.
yes, it was. So let me, number one here was and is confidential advice to an employee, only to the employee, to and from, it's all confidential. No supervisors are copied on the advice. And it's to encourage employees to seek confidential advice. Then
Yes.
there's a category of complaints, anonymous, outside people, fellow board members, whatever. People file complaints or we can bring a complaint.
Yes.
In between there, what about if a supervisor wants to ask about an employee? We would want to define that further here.
Well, I think the category, when you describe the category of advisory opinion, you state that you will issue advisory opinions to officers or employees of the town inquiring about themselves or someone they supervise.
Okay, now just holding on that point, someone they supervise, that advisory opinion would go to the employee as well as the supervisor, right? They would both.
It might, depending upon the scenario. If you discovered or felt that something was occurring that you needed to comment on, you can comment, but the default position is confidentiality in connection with the advisory function.
For both the supervisor and the employee,
Right.
the two of them.
In D1, we don't mention the supervisor.
Yeah,
No.
I don't see why we have to.
He or she is kind of brought into D2, but they're not mentioned in D1.
I don't see why we have to limit it to supervisor. I mean, yeah, I think it just.
Well, I mean, it's a good example of
No, D2 doesn't deal with supervisors either.
Okay.
D2 doesn't deal with supervisors.
No, but that would be like the inquiry category, where, under this language, where supervisor doesn't want to say, oh, I'm going to complain about him, but I want to inquire about their.
Well, that's different if the supervisor's saying, I'm not sure about this employee. Yeah, I actually think it should be in the first category, confidential.
The first one's supposed to be strictly confidential to encourage employees. Hey, if you ask us a question, we promise it's confidential between you, employee, and us.
Okay.
I think it's important to keep
So
that
you don't
one.
think the supervisor should come into
confidential.
that? Okay. So the supervisor would file a complaint?
I don't want them to have to file.
Yeah, let's get the inquiry.
You know, we have an example of one of our very first cases
Yeah.
where a supervisor advised an employee to go before the ethics board and let us determine whether there was
Yeah, so
conflict.
that went a different, slightly different route, but it was the same. The supervisor didn't ask for the opinion themselves. They
No,
said
he
the
told them,
employee
he told the
to go.
employee
Yeah.
to come before us and
And
to
the
settle.
employee did, and then the employee was angry.
Well, I don't know, but, you know, we settled it.
Yeah.
But the employee might not go to the Board of Ethics.
Well, in that case, then the supervisor would have to
File a complaint?
file a complaint.
But the supervisor doesn't know under that scenario whether a violation has occurred. You want the
Right.
supervisor to be able to inquire.
I get
Yeah,
that.
exactly so.
Exactly.
That's why it's got inquiry.
Exactly.
Okay.
I do want them to be able to
To
inquire.
inquire, yes.
That's
so-
the whole
I
reason.
think we
for
can
this word.
expand one to include supervisor inquiries.
No, I think one has to just be a first person only.
Yeah, I
Why?
think it-
Yeah.
Why?
Because
Because we
we
feel that
want
it's
the
really-
employee to feel that they can come to us confidentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
always
you
liked-
want the supervisor to feel that way also.
Sure.
Well,
Because
this
the
is something, I'm sorry, but I think this is something that we could teach in a session or put it in our, but putting it into the words, it's sort of limiting if it's supervisor.
I disagree with that. I mean, I'm with Stephen on this one. I think that a supervisor should be able to say, I'm concerned about a particular employee. I'd like your advice on whether you think that he is in risk of violating the ethics code.
So you think,
And then he comes to us confidentially, doesn't want the employee to know he's looking into it. We tell him, we think this might cause a problem. You should tell that employee to come see us. Or if there's definitely a problem here, then, you should file a complaint, or we should on our own initiative pursue it.
so how would you alter the wording? You would add
I would make up a lovely sentence.
to add the
Yes.
idea of,
Under 1 or 2.
I
One.
think under 1, because 2 deals with complaints. And if you want, we can call the 1 the supervisor making an inquiry, but
It's an advisory opinion. I don't think. you
yeah,
need all
advisory
sorts of
opinion
different-
either way, yeah.
And with that would still make it clear that an employee could come to us confidentially.
Oh, absolutely.
so
It'll be
you
a
would say
separate,
supervisor or
Yeah.
employee.
I could even
Yeah.
make it a separate subsection.
Yeah, so it's all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then that would be
I-
the perfect solution. Yeah,
And then
would-
3,
yeah.
okay.
I think you're making it more complicated than it needs to be. All you need to say is you render advisory opinions to officers and employees of the town inquiring about them. You render
Their own
confidential.
activity.
You render confidential advisory opinions to officers or employees inquiring about themselves or someone they supervise, period.
So that sounds reasonable.
That's good at the end of all this, yeah.
So we're adding or someone they supervise.
Yeah, we can do that.
They supervise.
All right.
Let me just ask a couple of questions about that. Someone they supervise, so with supervise, could that be a board chair asking about a board member?
No, that's not really a supervisory
employee.
relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Just employees supervise. And,
A board chairperson is first among equals.
yeah,
That's a phrase that they use about the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court,
Ooh,
the
thanks.
first among equals.
confidential. And that confidential advisory opinion could go to the supervisor
Yes.
without the employee knowing about it?
That would be the
Yes.
whole point, I think.
That doesn't sound like due process to me.
Well, there's no result from that.
Unfair to the employee
How so?
because they don't have a chance to give their side of that story. The supervisors do.
Right, but then the supervisor has the right to file a complaint.
Or take some disciplinary action. And that sets in motion all kinds of remedies that an employee has available to them.
Okay. I mean, I think I understand that, but our advisory opinions have always let the subject or target of the opinion
Yeah.
have
Have
a
a
say,
voice.
or at least know that it's coming and have a
Yeah.
chance to give their side.
I
Right,
was
we
thinking
would
that
still,
too.
I
But
would see that, we would
that-
still do
you
that in a situation.
Okay.
I think you're thinking of the supervisor's inquiry as being about the other person, but it's really about themselves. They are trying to determine what their supervisory responsibility is, given this fact pattern. So I think it's perfectly appropriate to issue a confidential advisory opinion to the supervisor. And in that opinion, you can make whatever recommendations you feel are appropriate for action, for disclosure to the person who is supervised. You can recommend, as someone suggested, that that person be encouraged to seek advice himself or herself from the Board of Ethics.
I also have a hard time imagining situations in which this would come up, because very few employees have discretionary authority over anything. Not fair?
No. I don't think that is. I think there are employees throughout town government who are making judgment calls and discharging responsibilities that involve the exercise of judgment all the time. What about a building inspector?
Right.
What about, someone in the building department who reads plans and specifications?
You're right. I'm wrong.
So make it be a short meeting.
Yeah, thanks for the short meeting.
Yeah, I just texted Jonathan to say I was wrong. That's gonna be over.
Okay, so let's try to redraft something in there.
Okay, yeah,
Will you consult with Stephen and try to redraft something?
I'll work on it, yeah.
Yeah, that
Thank
way.
you. Let's talk, should we move on a little bit?
And then just on my concern, just are we gonna like put a little something in, or just wait for the plain language version?
About the common law?
About the fact that it's not always financial?
Yeah, I would like to.
You
Yeah,
know,
we talked about something, I talked about something.
if you want, the law can have a preamble,
Yeah,
and the preamble can make reference to Article 18 of the General Municipal Law and common law principles of interest, and the ultimate goal of the program, the ethics program, being twofold.
yeah,
One is to inspire public confidence in town government by ensuring not only the reality, but also the appearance of integrity in town government.
right.
And secondly, to guide and protect honest officers and employees of the town and help them to discharge their obligations properly.
Our code had a preamble, but it did just that, and we can't seem to get it into the
To the state
posted thing.
law,
It keeps disappearing when they post the code.
you know?
I don't know, I don't,
I mean, it's like the preamble goes or went to the town board. That sounds great, but then.
then it
when we look
disappeared.
at,
It wasn't,
law, it's
it
not
wasn't
there.
published as part of the code.
Have to call it the section number. I think once it loses a number, maybe that's what.
Yeah. It's very common for laws to have a purpose section,
Yeah,
a statement of purpose. And
But this one
that's
has
where,
one.
Well, here, you have it.
That's the first one.
Purpose.
with the general language of a preamble that you described, would that go in a purpose section?
I think it could.
Well, let's put it there.
So put it there,
That's
but don't get
one.
lost. Yeah.
We've had a preamble, we had a preamble. first
Right,
time.
try to revive it.
So I think if it goes in this, hey,
Then it,
Dash
it's what I would like to see.
yeah, let's put it right before the,
That behavior considers the code, Title 8, Article 18, and relevant
right,
other things. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That-
Yeah.
Okay. Laura, do you want to,
No, I'm just trying to, there, I just found it, okay.
right in purpose?
No, I know
Try
that.
to resurrect that too.
I will do my best.
Okay, because there's not the big hurry to get this right.
You can even call it preamble under purpose, and then we'll move into the other part, I think.
Sneak it in there, they won't take it out.
yeah, I think that's what happens, without it being a number.
Okay,
It could also just be introduction.
something like that, yeah. In general,
Yeah.
then let's talk about the other substantive recommendations, make sure we're on the same page.
Okay.
Disclosure of interests, we feel it does not work to put that in writing for the Board of Ethics every time.
Right.
Right, but someone has to be charged with receiving those. Actually, the one disclosure that must be in writing is disclosure of an interest in a contract with the town.
Mhm.
Article 18 of the New York General Municipal Law has let me pull it up on my screen. Yeah, if you look at section 803 of Article 18 of the General Municipal Law, there's a requirement to disclose your interest in a contract, and that disclosure is made on the record of the proceeding as you have stated, if there's a proceeding before a board. And also Article 18, if you're an officer or employee, it's also made in writing to your immediate supervisor and to the governing body. Now, I
What
would
section of
say
law is that again, Stephen?
803 of the
803.
general municipal law.
Thank you.
Now, I will say that these disclosure requirements are honored more in the breach than in the observance. Legislators put these requirements into laws, and then the world promptly ignores them. But you cannot adopt a code. Article 18 applies in the town of Shelter Island, regardless of what either this board or the town board say. It's a law of general application, and it applies in every municipality in the state except the city of New York. So I would recommend taking.
Stephen, just.
We do require.
Hold on that point for a second.
Sure.
We tried to do that disclosure requirement of 803 in 8-13, where we do say 8-13 interest in contracts, paragraph D.
Yeah.
We have this certain disclosure that tries to cover exactly what's in the state law. Interest in contract, because that's very important disclosure, obviously. But what we say is disclose in the minutes or to the supervisor, because.
Well, this says such written disclosure shall be made part of and set forth in the official record of the proceedings of such body. I think we took that from Article 18.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what I do when I draft a code of ethics, which I think is much clearer and eliminates a lot of confusion? I have 3 main sections of the law. The first section is the code of conduct. All of these rules about what constitutes a conflict of interest and what does not. And the second broad section, or article, if you want to prefer to call it an article of the law, are the disclosure requirements. And generally there are 3 of them: transactional disclosure, applicant disclosure and land use applications, and financial disclosure if the municipality has a financial disclosure program. I don't think Shelter Island does. And then the third category are the administrative provisions, the Board of Ethics, its powers and duties, and all of those related topics. So Article 1, Code of Conduct; Article 2, Disclosure; Article 3, Administration or Board of Ethics.
Okay, but just coming back to this.
I mean, the reason I said that, Duff, I'm sorry. Sometimes I lose track of the point that I'm making. The point is, it's confusing to have the disclosure provision where we first began to discuss it, and then have you appropriately point out that the disclosure requirement for contracts appears elsewhere. Those disclosure requirements should be grouped together.
Well, we could cross-reference them. I don't think there's, the interest in a contract is very narrow. I think we wanted to just deal with that separately.
Well, you would, under the article entitled Disclosure. Subsection 1 would be transactional disclosure, and
Right.
subsection 2 would be disclosure of interest in contracts. Subsection 3, applicant disclosure in land use applications.
Where's disclosure first mentioned in this code? First mentioned, 8.5. Disclosure. That's of interest in legislation discretion.
Yeah.
Which is the transactional disclosure.
Mhm.
And it'll make the code much more user-friendly if you organize it in that logical way.
Yeah, the thing about separating out interest in contracts is, as you know, that's a serious matter. In other words, you can void contracts if you don't disclose your conflict. It's not just interest in legislation or interest in a discretionary decision. It's
You remind me of the scene in the movie A Few Good Men when Tom Cruise is cross-examining Jack Nicholson, and Nicholson says the person was in danger, and Tom Cruise says, "Was it grave danger?" And Nicholson says, "Is there any other kind?" So, you know, I'm not sure that there is any violation of the ethics code that isn't serious.
Yeah, but interest in contracts, as you know, court cases show contract can be voided even after they're entered into, because there wasn't disclosure before the contract was awarded. So that's different, or what I would call more serious.
I'm in favor of keeping them in the order we have them right now. I understand Stephen's position, but I also think that they're sufficiently
Just,
independent that they should be dealt with independently.
yeah, the reason it's that way is to kind of emphasize the interest in contracts as a separate
And
category.
the land use applications as well is another disclosure, and that's a separate animal.
Yeah, which is actually not under our purview.
What's not under your purview?
Disclosures to is it the zoning board or the planning, but the zoning board of
No,
appeals.
that's not correct. It is within your purview.
Right, it's just that the building department or whoever is dealing with that in their applications, they have a written requirement there that
Right,
people have to fill
yes.
out. So
Yes.
we don't see that coming out in front of us very much. The application itself is self-executing.
Can I ask you a question, Stephen, that's on our minds?
Excuse myself.
Sure, sure.
Are you we've worked hard and long on this. Are you going to endorse our recommendation to the board? Because the board has to then pass this as a law. Or are you going to suggest that we throw it out and use what you suggested before?
I am not in favor with all of the changes that you are recommending to the board. And I could not in good conscience say that I am.
So are we wasting our time doing this? I mean,
Well, it's not ultimately my decision. And by the time the board does make a decision about this, I may be gone. I'm the interim town attorney.
Okay, Laura's left the room. Let's talk about these other areas. Stephen has proposals to change, what? You think we're wasting time? I don't think.
well, I mean, if he's not going to recommend this to the board, well,
We talked about this.
We are the Board of Ethics.
I understand. But
The state law 50 years ago said town attorneys are not the only ethics
right.
advice, especially if there's a Board of Ethics. This Board of Ethics is in consensus on these changes. Stephen, who's an expert and has written widely about things, disagrees. He thinks that we should start with the Southampton Code. We haven't thought so.
Yeah, and we also tried, we gave this, when we were rehashing something, we gave the Southampton Code like a year and a half of our lives.
We looked at it.
We tried extensively to work on this, to work from the Southampton.
I don't think we're wasting our time.
I mean, that was
No,
how we started.
but I was hoping to get some endorsement from Stephen.
We're not going to get that.
Obviously, we're not going to get.
Even has gone views and results.
You know, look, I want to be as helpful as I can to you, but I also have my own personal reputation that is implicated by the advice that I give. So I think that you are a very conscientious, well-intended group, and there are some issues about which we disagree.
As it stands now, you would, if it came before the board next week, you would tell them not to adopt it.
It's not
It's
going
not
to.
coming to the board next week.
No, I'm just saying, if,
A whole bunch of work to do on it still.
I understand.
Well, when you say tell them, I give my opinion to the board, and then they act in a way that they think is best. So my advice to the board would, I don't think I would give them a global thumbs up or thumbs down on it unless I was asked to do that. I would say there are issues that I have with this law, and I do think that it would have been, better, as I told you and as you just acknowledged, had you started with a code of ethics that I drafted, which numerous municipalities, large and small, have adopted in one form or another, and which I think works and is logical and is clear. It's in every municipality customizes it. There's nothing wrong with that. One size does not necessarily fit all. And every municipality is entitled to be self-determining. And that's fine. But, that's all.
And as we all know, we did start with the Southampton Code.
Yeah,
among others,
We gave
and
it a try.
wanted a shorter version.
Right. Right. You didn't have me around at that time, but
That's true, but we had
Let us
your,
deviate, yeah.
uh,
I'm gonna, I have to leave soon. Is that, are we
Okay.
almost done?
yeah,
I won't destroy the quorum.
yeah, we've got some things we're
We
gonna,
have a quorum even without, just so you
That's what I
know, we're
think so.
still.
Okay.
yeah, but let's
But let's finish.
You have other matters to cover?
no. I don't.
We'll talk about when we're gonna meet again.
Yes,
Before Laura.
I will be gone October 1st till April, May. I said I will be gone October 1st until April.
Can I
So
call you
won't be
back in 5
available
minutes?
in person.
okay, bye.
But available on the Zoom.
October, November, December.
Yeah, I could be on Zoom, but I just won't be
You
here.
won't be in
in person.
person.
And I'll be gone August,
Right.
so there is.
God, I'm gone.
Yeah,
You're on September?
The coordinate.
Well, in the beginning, you could do in the first half, but that's very soon from now. I'm gone 9:15 to 10:15.
I mean, there's nothing urgent in this. We would like to have some improvements, but if we're, take our time, that's better.
Okay.
Right, and so
wanna do the first
traditionally,
2 weeks
we
in
met every
September?
2 or 3 months, and we honestly don't have any cases before us right now. It'd be nice to get to the finish line and to do a plain English guide and to train employees. This has taken many, many months. And unfortunately, our council disagrees with us on this. So, a couple months from now?
Yeah.
That'll give us time to look at it again. So this is August.
So then when I get back, I'm just going to Oregon for a conference for like 2 days in October, and aside from that, I'm good.
Well,
But you,
late October?
no, I think it's, I've got to look the conference up on their website. I'm not even sure what it is.
Is that too long to wait? I mean, the fact is, there's nothing,
We won't have a quorum earlier in October if Deborah's gone and I'm gone.
We don't have anyone else.
right,
We don't have another minute.
You don't have, you've been functioning very well under the current code.
Yeah.
So it's not as if the house is on fire.
right.
Yeah, but the conference is October 22 through 25, and I'll go out, that whole week's shot for me.
Okay. Yeah, the house isn't on fire. We're just trying to improve our code.
Something might come up, but
Yeah,
The week before that?
right. The week before October 22nd?
Exactly, I'm gonna call up the dates.
I might be in town
October
that week.
16th?
Or it's gone from October.
I have an appointment in Matatuck on October 16th, which I sort of have to go to.
What time, is it morning or
Oh,
afternoon?
that's-
It's 1 PM. It is immovable.
Oh,
It's the dentist.
Thanks for clarifying.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of my patients think that they can move their appointment.
Well, you have to book this
So what if we say
person a year in
that morning?
advance.
that
That
day,
morning,
that day, Laura?
I could do that,
October 16th?
in the morning?
That actually, that works for me.
but I have to be in Matatuck by 1.
There's a 9 o'clock meeting.
Where is?
There's a 9 o'clock meeting. The soonest we could meet would be about 11 noon.
What about in the afternoon after 3?
Could do
Fine
that.
with me too.
3 to 5?
We can do that.
I'm open anytime on October 16th. It's a Thursday, right?
Yeah.
You said what, Laura, would work for you?
I'm tied up in Matatuck from 1
Let me
to
just check.
3 probably. I can be back by 3.
Okay. Yeah, there is a 10 o'clock meeting that I'm in, but if it gets moved, I can let you know, so we can,
Oh, wait, I can't do
11?
October 16th. In the city.
but let's preliminary schedule for after.
City
I
bar?
got a meeting, I think, in the city.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Laura, will you be
I mean, I
here
could-
the day before it
I
or the
could do
day
the morning.
after it?
No,
I could be. I haven't planned it yet.
How about late September?
I could do it on the 17th as well.
17th? How about the 17th?
That's a Friday morning.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm gonna be here on 17.
Friday
But
morning?
15 would work. You're gonna be in a city. Right?
Are you, but
I could do the 17th. I have to be in the city the night of the 16th, but I could be in the
How
17th.
about the 15th?
I can't do the 15th.
You can't do the 15th.
oh dear, so that week's not gonna work for us then.
No, we can do the 17th. Let's do the 17th.
17th?
But it's up to Laura.
I'll rearrange.
If she-
No, that's okay. No, if we both, yeah, we're gonna probably
Stay
both
at
come
night.
down and then we'll stay over for a little
Stay
bit
over?
and try and figure out what else we need to
Do it
do.
at 11 o'clock on the 17th?
I could do that.
11 o'clock? Sure.
It's a good time. Does that work
Mhm.
with this room?
Yes.
Okay, and then in case anything comes up, then we'll have a chance to talk then. Okay,
Okay.
any public comment?
And if I can't make it, then we have a quorum then, even, because Deborah will be here. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll be.
That's it. And, okay, and we're
And
recommending.
maybe our new member will be here?
Yeah, let's hope so.
Maybe. Let's be
We're
optimistic.
recommending that the town board set some kind of a interim deadline on finding a new member
Yeah.
of September 15. Was that an upshot of this meeting?
Yes,
So that we could set time on that? to try-
provided,
to try to
Stephen
spur
said they may
people to
not listen to us, you know, their date
Okay.
recommendation, we
Next
can
meeting.
ask.
Friday, October 17, 11 a.m. We good? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? I move
Have
we
a good
adjourn.
day, everybody.
Thanks, thank
Take
you,
care.
Stephen.
Bye,
Thank
Stephen.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you for your wisdom.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
I apologize